The second letter I provided to you is from Gwen Graham, who I'm sure you all have encountered recently or met her on her campaign trail. She describes fracking as unproven, potentially damaging practices using dangerous chemicals and techniques. She describes fracking as a threat to your area because of the risk of chemical contamination and the very water-intensive process. One of your speakers earlier spoke about tourism and agriculture. Aquaculture is what they actually talked about. And these are important industries, and they're highly water independent and very incompatible with the environmental risks associated with hydraulic fracturing. In the bottom paragraph, or penumbral paragraph, Congresswoman Graham speaks about the BP oil spill. If your well, your personal well is damaged, or your city well is damaged, you personally, not a big consortium like BP where they took 5 years and had lawyers paid for by the government, you personally will have to sue to get your well repaired, or even if they repair it, they probably will punch a hole in the same aquifer that's already polluted, or they will condemn your property and give you pennies on the dollar. A friend of mine from Arkansas had a home she wanted to leave to her children and her grandchildren. They fracked next door to her home. She got colon cancer, had to sell the property, and is now homeless. I'm not saying this is going to happen to everybody, but it could very well happen to many of the citizens of this county as you are downstream. You talked about jobs and the importance of jobs. Jobs are so important. But I'd ask you to look. The third item I've given you today is a resolution from the AFL-CIO statewide. The AFL-CIO is one organization that is the most obsessed with jobs of any organization you're ever going to encounter. If you look on page 2, the first whereas talks about publicly unavailable health and safety purposes. They will not give you information for health and safety. That means that your emergency medical folks and your fire won't have the information they need. If you look at the third whereas on the second page, it talks about how fatality rates in the fracking fields are 7 times the national average. You want jobs, but you don't want jobs that are going to kill your citizens. In the fifth whereas, they talk about workers must be protected from dangerous workplaces. If you work and I have just had experience with people in Pennsylvania, and they talk about how if you ask for safety equipment, you're automatically fired. If you ask to have any kind of help with your medical bills because of your exposure to fracking, you're fired. And in the next to the last whereas, they talk about a statewide ban prohibiting the disposal of the materials. Now, there is no safe way to dispose of the materials. You had a discussion here about your sewage treatment plant. You can't take frack water and run it through your sewage treatment plant. It's not going to work. It has radioactive materials in it. It'll kill your plant. It has toxins in it that will kill the plant. It has explosives in it. What if your sewage treatment plant blows up because of its exposure? It's not going to work. The fourth item I brought to you is this. It's a copy of Senate Bill 318, which is what we are fighting wholeheartedly. The legislature declares that all matters relating to the regulation of the exploration, development, and production, transportation of oil and gas are preempted to the state, to the exclusion of all future ordinances, regulations relating to any county or municipality or any political subdivision. In other words, they are taking this decision out of your hands. I heard you talk just recently, I mean, a few minutes ago, about a gentleman needing building permits given by the county. You'll have no say-so in how fracking occurs in your county. So these are the things that I wanted to talk to you about. You talked about oysters. If they frack in this area, it will kill the oysters. There's no doubt of that.
Ms. Datz, if I can, excuse me, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but I neglected to inform the board. Besides Ms. Datz, you have 3 other speakers assigned speakers.
2.
I have 3 in front of me. 3 other speakers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
3 other speaker cards that want to address this item.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know.
We need to go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could just finish up, I don't know if you've seen this picture. This is where they're going to be doing fracking. This is southern Calhoun County and, southern Calhoun and northern Gulf County.
Yeah, we
So-
seen that at the last meeting there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I said one of the commissioners was not here. You are in the center. You should have this in, left a package for y'all. This should be in your package. And you can see that you are right on the front lines, on the forefront of the fracking revolution that's going to happen in this area, unless we ban it. Can I have...
Mr. Kessler signed up.
Okay,
I have a Mr. Kessler to sign a card.
yeah. You want to speak? Okay. And I'll remain here for questions.
Howard Kessler. I'm on the Board of County Commissioners in McCullough County, but I'm speaking as a private citizen. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. I'm not going to use up my 3 minutes. I think at this point in time, you can go to non-political journals and see the effects that fracking is having. You can go to journals such as Scientific American and see the science of the damage that fracking is doing. And I am not going to repeat the statistics on the earthquakes that are now occurring in areas of our country that didn't have earthquakes or had 1 earthquake a year, and now they have hundreds. The main threat that I see, although some people are very concerned about the earthquakes, the main threat that I see is the chance of destroying our water supplies, polluting our water supplies. And in order to do the fracking, they take large quantities of pure water, pollute them, and then when they're finished with them, they usually inject these deep into the earth. It's unproven, and I'm very worried. In McCullough County, we have the oystering going on in the column through TCC and the McCullough Environmental Institute. All that is very tenuous, and you know yourself here in your county, the water has to be just right to have good oysters, and that is not something we want to risk, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Tolliver?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm here to speak historically about my involvement. I am the great-granddaughter of William Walter Ziegler, who was a businessman in this county for over 130 years. He owned property here. And I am the daughter of the late Edward Tolliver, your first black county commissioner, city commissioner, and appointed mayor. I know that we value Apalachicola and the Bay and the jobs that it offered. And fracking can bring a stop to all of that. We've had a lot of interruptions through the years, and I'm here to say that it'll destroy our way of living and what we want to pass down to our children. My husband and I plan on moving here, retiring here, and we feel that it's going to be devastated land if we allow fracking. So I'm here on behalf of our future in Apalachicola and to thank you and hope that you pass the resolution to ban fracking.
Ms. Sanders?
Good morning, Barbara Sanders, and I'm here to support the resolution as a resident and voter of Franklin County. I didn't realize it was going to be on your agenda until I ran into these folks at the Sharks and Chablis event that they held up at the Gulf Specimen Lab on Sunday. But I'm glad that there is a grassroots effort to try to get our leaders informed about the dangers of fracking so that you can get ahead of what I see as a disaster that's occurring in other parts of the country like Texas, Ohio, the farmland of America. We have a resource here, the fresh water, that has to be protected for the future. I anticipate you guys saying, well, you don't have enough information maybe, and that makes sense. I encourage you to become educated about it. As the previous speaker said, read the science journals, read National Geographic, see what's happening in Wyoming, Montana, the other states that are dealing with the fallout on the land and under the land. And when you feel educated, if you believe it's not a good thing to have fracking, I would ask for you to bring the resolution before the commission and vote to oppose fracking, and even if it's a symbolic way, again, involving the whole state of Florida. Thank you.
Motion to ban fracking out of Franklin County.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Yeah, approve the resolution to ban the fracking.
Any discussion?
Yes. You know, looking and reading the resolution here, you know, I think it needs, the resolution, Mr. Schuler, I direct these comments towards you. You know, we've always, as long as I've been in Franklin County, which has been my whole life, is trying to protect this bay and our estuary, our way of life. As I earlier mentioned to the airport manager and Avcon about, we want jobs, but they got to be environmentally sensitive. I think this board agrees with that. In looking at the resolution, it doesn't quite address Franklin County. It addresses a broad spectrum. I think the resolution, there may be some things within this resolution that could be contained in a resolution specific to Franklin County. I, for one, was the one that was not available at the delegation meeting, so I wasn't really aware, and as one of the speakers said, maybe we're not fully aware. We are aware of what we want to protect here in Franklin County, but it's, so I think the resolution needs to be redrawn to specifically address our issues in Franklin County as far as we're getting our water from the aquifer, the protection of our river, which flows into our bay, and the decimated oyster industry that we now currently have. I mean, and I think it's our duty and our responsibility as commissioners of Franklin County to protect our environment, our ecosystem, our way of life, our heritage. So I would ask the county attorney look at the resolution and draft a more specific resolution to Franklin County. In reading, the last paragraph says, and it be further resolved that the members of the Board of Franklin County Commission, Florida, send a letter to the governor. I think that paragraph could be added to the end, and there may be some other paragraphs within the resolution being presented that could be drawn into a resolution pertaining to Franklin County, as well as the last paragraph that would pertain to all of Florida. But I want to highlight the issues of our oyster industry right now. I want to highlight why we have the Apalachicola Forest, why we have Tatesville State Forest, which is the drainage basin that serves Apalachicola Bay and its estuary. All these different things that the federal government and the state government have spent millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars buying up lands to protect our estuary and our bay here. All of that, I think, needs to be included to a comprehensive resolution pertaining to Apalachicola Bay and the different government entities that have spent all the money to try to protect the drainage basin that flows into Apalachicola Bay, as well as mentioning our aquifer and anything they do in Calhoun County or northern Gulf County that could potentially flow into the river, which comes down into Franklin County. I mean, so I understand, and I'd like for our attorney to look at maybe doing a different resolution and including some of the paragraphs that are in the resolution being presented here. But if we're going to adopt it, and it would give us a couple weeks to actually, myself and mainly, to research the fracking, to be more aware of exactly what is pertained in the process. and then come back with a resolution at the next board meeting that specifically pertains to our environmental issues, because we are one of the most environmentally sensitive areas in the whole state of Florida, as far as I'm concerned, in trying to protect our way of life and our history and our heritage here in Franklin County. And that's just a suggestion I'm making for the board. To give us a couple of weeks to look at it, but also come back with a different resolution as it pertains to us here in Franklin County.
I agree with Commissioner Parrish.
Could I request that Commissioner Lockley, would you rescind your motion until the next meeting?
You don't want time to look at it?
Yes.
Okay.
May I make a comment? I think you're wise. That's a great idea to put your personals in there, personal issues, but also the home rule issue, that you want to retain your home rule. That is another issue that came up after we wrote this resolution. So you may want to add something about you want to retain the whole home rule of your county and not be preempted by the
I
state.
did read the piece that you give us about the bill being introduced, and we're being preempted on everything. We don't control our
Anything.
no, franchise agreements has been taken away from the county.
Telecommunications,
I mean,
anything
it just
like that.
goes right on down the line where everything's being preempted. What was it, come up a year ago or so, that we're being preempted on this, being preempted on that. Any ordinances adopted before the state adopted theirs has all gone away. I mean, it's just constant preemption of our home rule powers in the state of Florida here.
I've given
on
you-
a number of issues.
I've given you a packet of information on fracking. It covers all kinds of areas of fracking. You may want to look into that packet that I've given you. It's a folder. No, it's a big folder that, Mike, they all got them?
Yes.
So you should have them. I brought them
Is
over
that-
here a couple of weeks ago.
I got one in my truck, or I took the house. I mean, I put it in my truck.
Oh, it
It's
went
a
through
big-
mail, yes. I know what you're talking about,
Yes,
yes.
the big
Yes, ma'am.
folder.
I'm sorry.
We got it.
Sorry. They've gotten them?
Yeah, I got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
So you might want to look at that as a basis for some information that
Can
I've
you
already
scan-
pulled
Scan
together.
that to us, Michael?
Yeah, I got a copy and scan it.
Get it on our iPads before we sit down. and
Okay. And may I seek your permission to come to the 5 o'clock meeting on the 14th? If you want me to return, may I come briefly?
Now, we'll have to come to the following meeting, because that's a short meeting, and we
Right.
getting ready to leave town. That's the reason we moved it to Monday
Okay.
to, we got a meeting to leave to go to. That's the reason
It's
we
on
got
the
done.
16th.
You can come back
I was
on.
looking at addressing this at the next board meeting. That's gonna be before the
The
16th.
next one is the third, Ms. Dodds.
We meet at the
November 3rd.
first Tuesday of the month and the third Tuesday of the month. So there'll be a meeting before the 16th.
Yeah,
So you want me to come back on November
2
3rd?
weeks.
yeah.
Okay.
On the third,
Yeah,
the
All
first
right.
meeting in November. It'll
yeah,
be
you got
first
2
Tuesday.
weeks to,
Yes, sir.
And,
yeah, the 3rd.
and Ms. Dodds, before then, I'll send, whatever Mr. Schuler comes up, I'll send you a draft copy.
Okay.
Okay.
And I would tell Mr. Schuler that the resolution that you have has been looked over by many attorneys in other counties. We have 15 other counties who've passed resolutions, and so you won't be the first attorney to take a look at
Put
it.
it on the
It's had
November 3rd agenda.
background looking at it, too.
We're
So,
gonna put you on the November 3rd agenda.
November 3rd.
I think that's, yeah, it's the 3rd, ain't it? That's the next meeting. Yeah, it's the next meeting.
Thank you, sirs and ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All right, got a motion and a second to table it till the next meeting?
I took back my motion.
Oh, you did, okay, all right.
I'll make a motion to table it to the next meeting.
Second. I have a second. All right, I have a motion and a second, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
And real quickly, this is really not any different than offshore exploration as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we've all been against that as it pertains to our beaches and our waterways. It's just another way, it's not offshore, this is inshore.
Yes,
but
inshore,
It's
right.
basically the same, we want to protect our ecosystem and our,
Well, and to say something, I was gonna keep my mouth shut, but I'm gonna say something. It's just no different from the lime rock mines that we've got around here. And all, it's the same thing. It does not deal with gas and oil, but it deals with,
contamination.
yes, ma'am.
It's
Yes,
pulling the
ma'am.
hard shell up to get to the bottom shell.
You can see how close it comes to the Apalachicola River when those transect lines, the squiggly line, of course, is the Apalachicola River. You can see how close they're going to be, and they cross the Chipola 4 times, so.
Could you answer a question real quick? Did
Yes, sir.
the Calhoun County and Gulf County Commissioners approve this fracking?
They have I don't think they have approved this fracking yet. I went before them a week ago, and I'm going to come back. Since I went before them a week ago, 200 citizens of their county have written them postcards to tell them that they don't want fracking. I don't know if you guys got postcards yet on banning fracking, but we sent over 200 postcards to the Calhoun commissioners. They asked me to come back so that they, like you, would have a little bit of time to research the issue and make a decision. So I will be going back to them.
How did Wakulla do?
Wakulla is coming up on November 2nd.
Okay.
That's when I start with them.
All right.
They received 190 postcards from their citizens saying they don't want fracking in their county. I'm going to be doing my first visit to Gulf County on October 27th, and then I will also be visiting Jackson County on October 27th to ask them about fracking. We've already visited Liberty County and plan to go back there. We have 15 counties. Those 15 counties and plus cities represent 7 million Floridians who've said they don't want fracking.
What's the closest area they are to us doing it right now?
Right there. That's southern Calhoun.
Calhoun?
That is what I believe will happen in the future. I gave you a copy of the seismic report on from this company, and I believe that this is the first step in the fracking process. First, they're going to do the seismic testing. There's 63 miles of transect. Every 330 feet, there's going to be an explosion that goes down, and they're going to drill a well 100.
Yeah, I know how they do it. I've
Yeah.
worked out west.
Yeah, and so so they're going to be doing seismic testing out there every 330 feet along those that 63 miles of transect.
Yeah.
So,
All righty.
all right,
I'll see you November the 3rd.
God willing.
I want to clarify one thing real quick, just so we can go out and ask Calhoun County or Gulf County. The industry does not call this fracking. They don't call it fracking. They call it seismic testing, and they say all we're going to do is drill a hole and explode a little firecracker or whatever. So if you hear, oh, this lady doesn't know what she's talking about, we're not fracking in Calhoun County, in essence, that's true. They are not yet fracking in Calhoun and Gulf. What she's saying is that this is step one, and we're afraid that the smaller process will lead to the larger process. So just so you be aware of the word changes when people.
Well, it's got to get to the base where they want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
This
you for
over.
correcting me. I appreciate that.
I want to be real clear.
This opening the door, that's all it's doing.
It's opening the door. And
Just
so
like
is
out
this
west,
legislation.
And they blow that 9, and they go far.
And the goal in getting these resolutions is to stop this legislation. So, may I have my picture?
Mr. Sugar, you have
I'll wait for them to
anything?
move on, I'll come across and get it
Yes,
for you.
sir, I was taking notes while everyone was talking.
I mean, do you have a report today?
Oh, no, sir, I do not.
Okay. Do I have any public comments?
Just,
Go ahead.
well, I have one more thing, Commissioner Parrish had asked. This is what we had produced before on the capital schedule, so this just gives you a background of what we had in the office, and we'll bring it back up. This, this can be added to, this is what we had in the office.
Okay.
So it's only market created.
Yeah, okay. Do I have any public comments? Any public comments? Have any commissioner comments?
Yes, I have one item that I'd like to bring up that I was made aware of last night, that a former constituent or former resident here of Franklin County, Mr. Willie Nord, passed away last night. He was a big Republican in this community, but he was also a big supporter of mine. As most of you are aware, he made a political contribution to my campaign last time I ran, and he was able to transition from a Democrat and a Republican and the R&D behind someone's name as to supporting someone that tries to sit up here and do the right thing for all the people of Franklin County. I want to pay my respects, and I want to make the public aware that Mr. Nord has passed away, and he, we didn't always agree all the time, but we could agree to disagree and still be friends, and like, as I said, he was a big supporter of mine, even though I'm a Democrat. But I want to make mention of him and let the public know that he has passed and left us, and I just want to make the public aware of that.
Was he in Tallahassee or on the island?
I'm not sure where he was at when he passed away.
I don't know either.
Yes, sir.
would be appropriate to ask us to all stand for a moment of silence.
We all stand for a moment of silence, please.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother John. Any more commissioner comments?
One second. He said no. Okay, we're good. I'm sorry. I just want to verify something.
Meeting adjourned.
We're going to head on.
I told him if he'd wait a few minutes, he said